Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, alongside the raw healing stories my characters do weave throughout time and space, in tales such as the Merna Annals, VITAELANGICA, and more. I do enjoy what I do as a professional lady nerd, in short. So welcome to Reintroduction 2026. It's been a couple years since we've done one of these. As a matter of fact, I didn't even live where I currently live now. Hello, girl children. Small introduction. I'm a cat mom. Hi. We see your face around here a lot, don't we, Lokeener? Let's get the real introductions out of the way. Welcome. This is Locarina of Time. That is my other baby girl, my familiar, Madrina baby. So, now that you've met the familiars and you hear them, you'll see them around here a lot. Well, you the most. Of course, I wake up from I put on this shirt and she wakes up from a nap. So about me, if you have been here since you were the first 5, the first 500, or dare I say cruising towards the first 2,000, welcome in. Some of you have known me for a long time and some of you are just getting to know me for the first time. So a little bit about me. Long before I started this channel, circa 2020, 2021, we'll get to that here in a little bit, I fell in love with writing all the way back in the days of the late 90s, early 2000s, when being a tabletop role-playing gamer, LARPing role-playing gamer, anime, chat board, role-playing gamer was like the nerdiest, nichest thing you could do for a high school age group. And I was quite a hermit in high school. If I wasn't at work or at school, I was probably RPGing somewhere. And that is where my love of writing truly did begin. Outside of the fact, other than we had a therapist, Once Upon a Dream. If you check around this channel here, there's a video about fan fiction and how it really did save my life through writing. And I had a therapist who said, you know, writing is therapy. You can't write about what happened to you necessarily through your eyes yet. Can you do it through a fictional lens and a couple of degrees of whatnot removed from the self to process? Hello, why I love doing what I do, and I call it soul barding these days. So, I have been writing for a very long time, and my parents knew I wanted to be an author, and I'm the youngest of 5 kids, only daughter, so I'm the youngest kid and the eldest daughter. Whew. That's an interesting blend. Anyway, you'll hear me mention that, though I am estranged from my family, you'll hear me talk about them from time to time. At the same time, my parents said, you can't be a starving artist, we're not going to support you. And you can't expect a man to support you either. So I went for my associate's degrees in business office management. I knew I wanted to work either as a paralegal in like the business end of medical office management, like handling the billing and whatnots. Or I was even considering just like general administrative assistants. And I loved that. However, I graduated from high school in early June 2005. I graduated from my first round of college at the Allegheny College of Maryland with 3 associate's degrees and a bunch of certifications in December 2007. A lot of you just laughed because you know what happened in 2008. There's a reason why I went back to college to get my bachelor's in transatlantic literature and linguistics, aka English lit degree, and a minor in stage management for theater to complement and help me get over more anxiety stuffs. So I could go on to get my master's and become a teacher. I did graduate from Frostburg State University with both my master's and my first master's. With my bachelor's and my first master's degree. I think I said that right. I technically have 2. Well, almost. I'm 1 hidden math class away from completing my second master's officially. There's no point. There's no pay grade that is worth that 1 math class to torture myself just to have a sheet of paper. You can tell why I taught English So I grew up in Cumberland, Maryland. I was actually born in Baltimore. Grew up in Cumberland, went to college in Frostburg. Now I live in Hagerstown. I've tried to escape Maryland. I have tried to the point that I married somebody from Pennsylvania. Did not work. Did not go as planned. I'm still in Maryland. So, yeah. I might be one of them lifers. I'm not sure yet. But what I know and what I experience and what I've been trained in directly impacts the decisions I made in my life when 2020 happened. A lot of us know what happened in 2020. I was teaching developmental reading, writing type classes in March of 2020. That was the worst year ever for me as a teacher. I was getting up at 4:30 a.m., driving an hour and a half one way just to teach, teaching to a group of kids, one of whom was making credible threats against me and documenting them. Yeah. Child was documenting them and leaving a paper trail. And I was documenting them documenting it. So I went into spring break that year, literally being told by my principal, they'll be the high school's problem next year, knowing this kid probably needs actual help. Or at least a counselor to talk through and make sure they understand, this is not something you can do because. And therefore, I went to sleep that weekend not expecting to happen what did happen that March. I went to one of those schools where we never went back. At the end of that school year, I resigned. I did find an online virtual school I was going to work with full-time. I had already at that point been part-time teaching virtually, not just tutoring, but actually like running classes virtually, plus tutoring one-on-one. I was already freelance editing because I had started that back in college. Why not just keep what I had been doing? And I'm trained in so many different things. I've done curriculum development. I've taught AP advanced placement honors levels type classes for composition and literature. I have taught business and technical writing. My favorite thing though, and the one thing I have taught consistently other than senior level English 12, highest level graduating level English, was creative writing. I wonder why. I wonder what roots from my teenage years held on to that so tightly. I've literally written an entire curriculum for high schools where the kids graduate with a 4-year certificate saying they studied the publishing industry. It gets them electives, at least in their English classes in college. And if not, it's a cool thing to put on a resume. Up to that point, some of my students were basically paying their part of the college rent, or a little bit of their college rent, or like their cell phone bill, or their car payment, with stuff they had written in my classes that they were self-publishing. And they kept saying, Mrs. S, Mrs. S, Mrs. S, because that's what they called me. I'm not going to give you my legal last name, but that's also what they called me. They said, why aren't you doing what we're doing? I said, you're right. So by the end of 2020, I had written Bound by Fate and Blood. I had picked up Neftiri's story. She had been with me through most of my role-playing days, and it took a learning curve, and I went through a rebrand relaunch revolution, which we are doing a workshop, or we just did a workshop on a little bit ago, and questions that kind of guided that for me, because I'm about to do 2.0, which this video is the start of. I love writing for the Merna Annals and related tales. It's all-consuming when I write for those characters. They are very talkative. They are very inviting to me. And it's just me enjoying telling a story that is my reflection of the world from this moment, regardless of where my books are set, and what time and what landscape. And it's still a form of therapy all these years later. This is why I love writing multiple genres. My general tagline, you heard it, sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, any combination therein. The Merna Annals is a dark, epic, paranormal, romantic fantasy or fantasy romance. I've been told it qualifies as both. And really it was inspired by what happens if J.R. Ward were to play the game master of, say, Dungeons and Dragons, and two of her players happen to be Tolkien and Martin. Yes, I want to be a fly on the wall if she ever actually gets to GM a game, because, oh boy, the Black Dagger Brotherhood. My heart. True? And VITAELANGICA is just why I love video games. It's my Kingdom Hearts. It's my Ready Player One. It's my proof that the technology humans make have magic, and the Appalachian Mountains themselves are magical. Because it is Maryland and all of her landscapes that have raised me into who I am, and she continues to be in all that I write. And I just love exploring and sharing these worlds, and also I love exploring and sharing writing in general and talking it with all of you. This is why I have Soul Bard Academy, which, for those of you who are newer, it's not just a membership for me. When I originally had Soul Bard Academy, I say I came up with it during 2020, but I'm going to be honest. There was a note, a wish that was on my desk when I taught at that last school prior to 2020 that had been there for quite a while, that said, life will be wonderful when I can run a program for authors who do not have courage to be bards in this era. Now, I always knew barding from the role-playing, video gaming, fantasy world aspect, but barding was actually a thing in this culture that I'm from, Ireland. It was like, that's what their historians basically were. They were bards. They were definitely the ones who held the history, and secretly so. I've been following the Irish Pagan School and their reverends who run the school and taking classes and reading their books, and I'm like, so a lot of what we have in RPG stuff really truly is based on a lot. Somebody knew their Irish history, not just their Celtic mythology. Somebody knew their European history when they made these games, because, yeah, the Bardic class, when you look at the history of Ireland through its people who wrote it, very, very much can see where you get certain characters from certain shows. Toss a coin indeed, dear Witcher. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm a nerd. I already dropped quite a few references to that, and I was dubbed a professional lady nerd by a couple of different friend groups, and among the Fae Ren Fair community here in Maryland, they're like, yep, kind of are a professional lady nerd. You do the theater thing, you do the con thing, you do the book thing, you do the YouTube thing, you do the writing thing, you teach people how to do any mix therein. And I love doing all of that. So Soul Bard Academy was once a wish on a post-it note of a teacher who was beyond burned out. She was misaligned. We do not give teachers credit. Not just like teaching the profession, but when teachers come into our lives who aren't actual teachers, but they still teach us lessons. So it is my hope through this channel to achieve something that I achieved as a teacher. To encourage you from your soul to share the stories that your characters are keeping you awake at night sometimes, so that the story can get told. You're telling that story, and it's been around with you for X number of time, for all the reasons you can fathom and more. If you've been here for a while, and if you made it to the end, like, comment, share, subscribe, bring a friend. Also, pick an emoji that fits your mood. Share it below. Say it with me, y'all. Take care of yourself. Because now more than ever, your voice has value. All of us. That's true.